Welcome back, adventurers, to another episode of Let's Play Chaos Head. In the last episode, Takumi found himself in front of the venue Gigantes when he was unexpectedly, saved, if that is the right term that I want to use, by none other than Ayase Kishimoto, known to Shibuya at large as the gothic singer Fez of the band Phantasm. The reason being is that, like Takumi, Ayase herself is essentially a suspect due to Phantasm's lyrics somehow coincidentally mirroring the events of the New Gen crimes. As a result, the two of them are pretty much hiding here for the time being in the sanctuary of this underpass. It probably won't be too long before somebody finds them at some point, but for now it's abandoned, so we have a time to catch our breath here. And of course, Ayase has once again brought up the fact that Takumi needs to find his D-sword in order to truly be safe. And that begs the question, how exactly do we acquire a D-sword? Her expression stiffening, Fez turned to face me again and said,
"Mite."
What do you mean, watch? I think we're about to find out. She deliberately thrust her right palm out in front of my eyes. Like so. Stopping me from coming any nearer, she curled her right hand into a fist. When she swung it all the way behind her, together with a sound akin to that of glass shattering, cracks broke their way through empty space. My eyes went wide. I was speechless. Fez focused on me without the slightest change in expression. A deep darkness spread out, in the depths of the fissures in the broken space. This time, Fez whipped out the hand that lay buried between those fissures. Unfortunately, there is a slight bit of lag there, for which I do apologize, but there it is. That's certainly quite the magic trick, sorry. What am I, Elmer Fudd? Can't speak today. In it, she gripped a colossal sword. One that we've seen before.
Sword.
Yeah, the D-sword that we originally mistook for a microphone stand. Be one hell of a microphone stand, however it is not a stand, it is a sword. Much cooler than the cheap, dismal imitation from that second-hand store. The crevices in space instantly repaired themselves. The cracks vanished as though nothing had happened. Come to think of it, Senna mentioned something rather peculiar in our encounter with her beforehand, asking us whether or not we'd witnessed any sort of errors in perception. It took mere seconds. Was this sleight of hand? Or another delusion? It was too distant from reality. I couldn't believe what had just occurred right before my eyes. This was pure fantasy. Something from an anime.
この剣は命運を握るもの。
The key to our fate. That certainly is profound. Then again, I would actually wager that if Ayase is as brushed up on these swords as Takumi is, she too will probably be familiar with the medieval urban legend associated with them. That also probably explains her rather vague explanations beforehand. That sword was what Fez had slashed around during her show. What I'd mistaken for a mic stand. And also remembering yet again that something that Takumi has clearly forgotten is the fact that Senna asked if Takumi could see her particular D-sword, which is quite different in design from Fez's D-sword there. Which means that Takumi alone is the only one who currently has the power to observe D-swords, although I probably understand is that the wielders of the D-swords, Senna and Fez, could probably see each other's swords as well. That also begs the minor point of does Senna and Fez actually know that each other is a wielder of a D-sword? I wonder about that. And its shape was almost reminiscent of a sci-fi anime battleship. That would be quite the battleship.
この剣は嘆きを収束させたもの。
In the words of Daniel Jackson from Stargate SG-1, that is extremely unhelpful. At least that's how I think that phrasing goes. I might be paraphrasing there. It possessed not a single straight line, yet brimmed with a sense of sharpness, and was lovely and sinister.
この剣は超越した場所に干渉するためのもの。
That too also explains absolutely nothing. It seemed as though my fingers would be vividly sliced off if I touched it.
超越した場所って
Fez's D-sword. It fascinated me. And so I asked her without thinking. Probably a bad move on our part.
異空間のようなもの。
Parallel world, you say? A parallel world. Things were finally taking a firm turn towards the anime-esque. Although this phenomena is clearly quite different from that of the intersecting world lines of Steins Gate and Steins Gate Zero. Quite different, in fact.
同一次元上にあるもう一つの可能性。
Actually, thinking about it, with this, whatever power Fez and Senna have, I wonder if it would actually be possible to cross between world lines without the use of a time machine. Anyway, food for thought.
あるいは妄想。
A delusion made manifest, it seems. A delusion.
言い方にあんまり意味はないわ。
Indeed, much like the Matrix, it has to be seen to be believed.
唯一確かなの。この剣もその領域に存在しているということ。
Just what is this parallel dimension? Is that a delusion as well, or something completely other? So in other words, the D-sword was the product of Fez's delusions. The paranormal phenomenon I'd witnessed earlier had also been delusionary. It wasn't present in reality.
そんなのありえない。
そう。
If it were a delusion, how come I could see... Yeah, how come I could see Fiz's sword right now?
言葉に引きずられてはダメよ。後ろを振り返ってみて。
Try turning around. Okay then. Bewildered by Fiz's abrupt demand, I obeyed her, and behind me were the stairs, and there... Oh. Fiz stood there, wearing a school swimsuit.
ああ、
Looks like your delusion has somehow come true, Takumi Nishijo. There was a Fizz beside me, and there was another Fizz in front of the stairs. Two of the same human being were in this place. On top of that, one of them was clad in a school swimsuit. Becoming completely flustered, I looked back and forth between the two Fizzes over and over. It's a good thing that nobody else is here, although if they were, best case scenario, they don't see Fizz's D-sword and the other Fizz. Worst case scenario, they're capable of seeing what Takumi is seeing, and that would not bode well for anyone. From the shape of their faces to their stature and even their hairstyle, they were exactly the same. The only difference between them was their clothing, and the fact that only one bore a sword. It wasn't at the level where you could mistake them for twins. They didn't merely resemble each other. They were one and the same. Ayase Kishimoto and Fez. I was used to seeing girls wearing school swimsuits in Roge, but that didn't give me any room to settle down here. Fez was standing in this filthy subway in a school swimsuit. Moreover, there was a name tag on her chest with Kishimoto written on it with a waterproof marker. So moe. The sheer improbability of the situation made my head go dizzy. Even if I thought to myself that I shouldn't look, my line of sight kept darting back towards her. It required a pretty big effort to lower my eyes to prevent myself from seeing her.
ごめん。
Before I knew it, I had apologized. Because I dreamed about it only a few minutes ago. About Fez wearing a school swimsuit. That only happens if we pick the so-called negative delusion, the red delusion. If we pick the green delusion, the positive, the other Fez would be clad in white lingerie. And of course, if we'd gone down the reality path, there would be no other Fez to begin with, since there wouldn't be any delusions. The reason I did that is because the other Fez clad in the swimsuit not only again ties back to Takumi's initial conversation with Grimm earlier in the series, but also that is the very delusion in which Takumi Nishijo observes in the Chaos Head anime, which is why I went for that.
君が望んだ妄想。
Indeed it is. No arguments here. That is exactly what it is. Two Fezzes spoke simultaneously, as though they had seen right through me. I flinched. I could tell my face was rapidly turning red. I had to make some kind of excuse. I had to distract her. Unfortunately for you, Takumi, nothing is going to get past Fezz's sharp gaze. Once 3D girls labeled me a pervert, it would be the end for me. I'd undergo social obliteration, as if that weren't already the case in your average daily school life. No. I was important too, but even more important was the question of What the hell was the phenomenon currently occurring before me? That indeed is a very good question. Let's wait for the extremely laggy transition there. Hmm. There we go. As he walked carefully along a narrow, garbage-packed road in Maruyamacho, Yasuji Ban stuffed a hand into his pants pocket. And he has a very serious demeanor on his face, which is quite different from his usual carefree, laid-back demeanor, for which he is infamously known for. He confirmed that he had some small change rattling around in there.
先輩、貼り付けの現場に何があるって言うんすか?
And there is his junior partner Suwa, still clad in his blue suit and looking as oblivious as ever.
もう事件から2週間以上経ってるし、散々調べられた後っすよ。
However, it seems like Barn has some kind of a hunch.
新しい証拠なんて出てきませんって。
His partner walking behind him, Detective Suwa, had been complaining for a while now in a fed-up voice. That was natural, given that Barn and Suwa were supposed to have been performing surveillance on Takumi Nishijo, a vital person of interest in the new gen cases, so they are still following that investigation. At the moment, the two of them seem to have left off tracking him and had come to the scene of the third new gen incident, commonly called the staking. Barn had unilaterally decided to shove their original duty, tailing Takumi Nishijo, off on another district detective. The newbie Suwa found this rather unsettling. So, I'm actually going to go out on a limb here and say that Barn actually does have some doubts about Takumi being the prime suspect of that particular incident. Though he's still considered a person of interest, he doesn't consider him the culprit. Of course, Suwa seems to have other ideas.
やっぱまずいっすよ。尾行に戻りましょう。
From the point of view of the new detective, it wasn't easy to put up with how his senior led him around by the nose without the slightest explanation. And so he had been spending all this time persistently trying to persuade Barn otherwise. But the key person, Barn himself, said,
いいから黙ってついてこいって。
There's that tired, disarming expression. He neither lost his aloof attitude nor lent an ear to his junior's argument. At last, a narrow street sealed off by yellow vinyl tape came into view. As Suwa let out his nth sigh of the day, his cell phone vibrated near his chest. It had been set to silent. Swiftly pulling it out, he put back on the face of an able detective and pressed the button to take the call.
スワっす。はい。はい。
Listening to Suwa speak at his back, Barnes stood before the vinyl tape. There's that scowl again. Behind it lay the crime scene. Behind the tape, that is, not behind Barnes' scowling demeanor. A deep darkness had settled down there, in the same manner as when the crime took place. Now there were no longer any traces indicating that something had happened there. Looks like they definitely took the body back to autopsy.
見失った？女か。やられたっすね。
Oh dear. Looks like they're onto us. Looks like that police officer there was probably the guy who Barn passed off the tailing duty to.
とりあえず深センの家に戻ってほしいっす。
Oh dear. Looks like they're keeping tabs on his place. Definitely not a good development.
はい、張り込んでてください。いやいや、大丈夫っすよ。責任はバン警部補が取るっすから。
Selling out your superiors there is probably not the best choice of career move there. Upon hearing those words, Barn broke into a rueful smile. There were times when Suwa could be unexpectedly shrewd, although it's not as shrewd as he thinks because he was pretty much blatantly obvious. Of course, even Barn hadn't meant for it to make his subordinate or the other district inspectors take responsibility for whatever happened. He is still the leading investigator after all.
なるべく早くこっちも合流します。本当申し訳ないっす。お願いします。
At nearly the exact same time that Suwa had ended the call and turned back towards Barn with a reproachful look, Barn ducked under the tape roping off the area. Suwa had no choice but to follow.
見失ったって？
尾行に気づかれたっす。
Indeed.
直前にネットカフェで一騒動あったみたいっすし。
女っての？
岸本綾瀬っす。
Oh dear. So they're already onto Fez as well.
お騒がせバンドのジョーちゃんか。つながりは？
同じ学校の同じ学年っすね。他は今のところ特に。クラスメートでもないっす。
Yeah, despite their little comedy duo, these two are actually very competent investigators. Barn put a hand to his jaw and briefly relished the sensation of his rough, unshaven chin. And we know just what that little habit signifies. He then slowly took some change out of his pocket and began counting them one by one in the darkness. Suwa regarded his senior's eccentric behavior with a blank look on his face. I think Barn is on to something here.
何してるんすか?
Of course, to the casual observer, Barn is just wasting time.
よりによって5円玉だけありゃしねえ。そう、お前5円玉持ってねえか？
はあ。
Perplexed, Suwa picked a 500 yen coin out of his wallet and handed it out to Barn. But instead of taking it, Barn tore off the lowest button sewn onto the white dress shirt he was wearing. He unwound the thread that looped around and around it.
先輩、ついに頭おかしくなったんすか?
生意気な口聞くようになったじゃねえか。
Smiling wryly, Barn gave Suwa a light thwap on the head. Afterward, he accepted the 500 yen coin and ran the thread through the hole in its middle.
よし、お前にやらせてやるよ。
Once again, Barn delegating to Suwa. Once he had pinched both ends of the thread in his fingers with the 500 yen coin dangling down from it, Barn handed it over to Suwa.
振り子っすか?
ああ。
Barn grinned mischievously.
こいつが事件の重要なヒントを与えてくれるかもしれねえぜ。
Looks like Barn is about to utilize some Phoenix Wright logic. And we all know what Phoenix Wright logic entails. It may be far-fetched, it may be crazy, and it just might lead to the truth.
マジっすか? バンさん、勘弁してほしいっすよ。
I wouldn't be so sure about that, Suwa. Ban may look like Detective Gumshoe, but unlike the aforementioned detective, Ban is a bit more cleverer than that.
そのために仕事をほっぽってここまで来たんすか？
Sua's manner of speech was starting to hint at grief. He'd been dragged around by Ban countless times before now, but just this once even he seemed pretty scandalized by it.
サイキック操作とかダウジングとか
Does he look like that he's got a wooden rod in his hand? I don't think so.
その手のテレビでも見て影響を受けたんすね、先輩。
そういうお前も詳しいじゃねえの。
Indeed.
いや、まあ、自分も見たは見たっすよ。先週のユーリ・ブライトマン。
ユーリ・
ブライトマンっすよ。今話題になってるアメリカの超能力捜査官っす。
Not really sure what an American psychic investigator has to do with anything, but we'll bite.
俺が見たのはそんなチャラチャラしたもんじゃねえや。どこかのお偉い大学教授が出ててだな。
でもテレビっすよね。
いちいち文句の多いやつだ。やってみりゃわかる。ほら、いいから吊るしてみろって。
Suwa couldn't refuse when his senior put it like that. Pursing his lips, he sulkily accepted the 500 yen coin. He held the ends of the thread and slowly began twirling it round, creating centrifugal motion. It was dark and hard to see, but Ban took out a 100 yen lighter and flicked it on to provide some illumination, even though there's already lamps clearly placed here in this particular alleyway. Then again, Ban is
先輩っ
old-fashioned.
てタバコ吸いましたっけ？
10年以上前に禁煙したよ。なんでだ？
ライター持ってたっすから。
Probably as a keepsake. Or a memento.
こういうこともあろうかと用意しといたんだよ。
はは。で、これで何がわかるんす？
Suwa seems to think that Ban is joking with him. That expression on Ban's face tells me that he is not joking.
もっといろいろ動かしたり止めたりしてみろ。
Ban focused unwaveringly on the movements of the 500 yen coin. His eyes were so marked in their seriousness that Suwa couldn't bring himself to voice any further complaints.
やっぱりな。
Seems like Ban's hypothesis is paying off.
スワ、わかるか？
何がっす？
五円玉の動きだよ。
Could be that Suwa is, twirling it with his hands. Then again, maybe not.
さっきから少しだけ楕円を描いてるような気がしねえか？
Interesting. Held up by the thread, the 500 yen coin went slowly round and round. Suwa tilted his head. It is going very slowly there, but it is moving. And there's no voice acting there from...
力の入れ方とかじゃないんすかね。
Oh, there it is. There's Suwa speaking his line. Suwa, in fact, is holding his hand very still, but for some reason the coin is moving of its own accord.
お前、楕円に回るように意識してやってんのか？
いや、結構適当にくるくると。
もっと手を動かさねえようにやってみろ。
はあ。
Suwa attempted making a deliberate effort to force it around in a circle, but no matter how many times he redid it, the coin continued drawing in the shape of an ellipse. Almost said eclipse there, but that's not really the right word. So for some reason, there is some sort of magnetism in this particular part of the alleyway, which is a very intriguing phenomenon indeed.
おかしいな。
意識的に違う形にしようとしてもできねえだろ。
Barn looked proud as he spoke. Suwa, in contrast, appeared to remain unconvinced and continued stubbornly swinging the pendulum.
まあ、渋谷のどこでもこの現象だけじゃねえが。
So it seems like this is only happening in certain areas.
それでも十数箇所はここみてえな場所があるらしいぜ。
確かに不思議っすね。
Come to think of this, we were foreshadowed some bizarre event earlier regarding a bunch of men in black suits claiming to be city cleaners or sanitation cleaners, but we're instead observing something about what they refer to as a GE rate.
でも、だから何なんす？
Barn raised his face with a satisfied expression, put his lighter away in his pocket, and in exchange drew out the fan he'd shoved through his belt. Seems like whatever hunch Barn had is paying off.
お前、渋谷がなんでここまで若者を引きつけるか知ってるか？
5円玉が楕円を描くからっすか？
Close, but no cigar, I'm afraid. Suwa had meant it as a joke, but Barn gave a prompt nod as he fanned himself leisurely.
まあ、そういうこった。
Yeah, although, to explain, it's not so much the coin and the ellipse that are important, it's what's causing the phenomenon that is the true key. But could it be tied to New Gen? I
な
wonder.
ぜこの渋谷という場所は若者たちをこんなにも引きつけると思う？
And of course, at the same time, Fez and her other self are seemingly voicing Barn's thoughts there in another place at the same time. That is going to be it for this episode of Let's Play Chaos Head, and when we return, hopefully Ayase can actually elaborate more on the rather strange phenomenon which she somehow has managed to tap into, and its ramifications. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.